Hello all, welcome to this session. In this session, I'm going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, can you access the private methods from outside the class? The straightforward answer for this question is no. Directly, if you try to access the private members of a class, like it may be variable or method, you cannot access them, guys. Whether you create an object or you make them, whatever it is, okay? Private variables and methods cannot be accessed outside the class. Only within the class you can access the private variables and methods. But there are some other alternative ways. Still, if you have to reach out to that variables and methods which are specified as private, okay, using encapsulation concept, there is a possibility. But the straightforward answer for this question is no, guys. Let me explain all this stuff in a detailed manner for you in this session. So for that, I'll switch to this Eclipse IDE, and here I'll create a new package. I'll create a new package, guys. That is right click new package. I'll just say .packc. Under this package, I'll create a class. I'll just name this class as class A. And under this class, I'll create some private variables and private methods, let's say, okay? Like int A is equal to 5. Like some method is there, public void. Sample A method is there inside system. When you call this particular method, right, inside sample A. I didn't mention any private modifier or private keyword before these variables and methods of this class. What if I create one more class? What if I create one more class like demo class with main method I'll create? And if I want to access this variables and methods, okay, if I want to in this demo class, from the demo class, which is, give me a second, let me drag this so that you can see the previous class. Here, let's assume that before this variable public modifier is specified and before this method also public modifier is specified. In such kind of cases, even before the class also public modifier is specified. In such kind of cases, if I want to access these variables and methods which are of public type outside this particular class in a different class, if you want to access, can you access? Yes. By creating object for the class CA is equal to new class A. Okay, class CA is equal to new class A. I'll write down and simply write down system.out.println ca.a I'll say ca.a I'll say, and here ca.sample A. I'm able to call this particular public method directly. Outside the class, I'm able to access the method by using the object reference. By creating an object for the class, I can do that. And if you run this code, you will get a proper output also. Because these variables and methods are specified as public, it's possible you can access the variable private public variable outside the class, public method outside the class. It's possible. But if I make them private, if I remove this public and in place of that, if I provide private, okay, before the variables and methods, if I do that, you see already I'm getting an error. The field class A is not visible. You cannot access this, guys. You cannot access the sample A method from outside the class, is not visible. Errors are already coming in these two statements because the private members of the class cannot be accessed outside the class. Within the class, you can access, guys. If, for example, if I create one method here, like within the class public void sample B, if I create, and within the class, if I try to access this system.out.println, I can directly access. You see, system.out.println A I can access. I can also call the method sample A method I can call and access. You see, no errors are coming within the class, but outside the class, private members of the class cannot be accessed. But there is a way, guys. But there is a way. Directly, the answer is no. And the interviewers are also expecting the answer for this particular question as no. But there is one alternative way, guys. That is, what if you create a public method here? What if you create some public method here? Okay, public void sample B kind of method if you are creating, and from this sample B, if you're calling sample A indirectly, okay, but you cannot access the sample A method directly here. You cannot access the sample A method. You see, when you say ca.sample A, okay, you are already getting an error directly. The private members of the class cannot be accessed directly outside the class. You will get this kind of error message because they can be accessed only within the class. So as part of encapsulation, what I will do is I'll create a public method. Okay, in the class where private members are there, I'll create a public method. In that public method, I'll try to access this private members of the class. Okay, now instead of calling the sample A, what if I call sample B? What will happen, guys? I can call sample B, guys, because sample B is a public method. So by creating an object for this class, outside the class, I can access this method. And by using this public method, I can call the private method. So indirectly, when I'm calling sample B is calling sample A. Directly, I cannot access sample A outside the class. But here I'm able to call the sample A with the help of the sample B. Okay, with the help of sample B, which is of public type. Okay, this is called as encapsulation, guys. In encapsulation, directly you cannot access the private members of the class outside the class, whereas by using the public methods, you can access them outside the class. With the help of public methods in the class where the private members are there, you can access them outside the class. Inside sample A got printed still. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to explain here, guys. Okay, can you access the private method or methods from outside the class? The answer is no. Directly it is no, but with the help of encapsulation concept, we can trick it and get the we can access that indirectly, but directly it's not possible, guys. Actual answer is no for this particular question. But if you explain that encapsulation concept when you get this kind of simple question, right, the interviewer will definitely get impressed, because you're not only answering the question, you're also giving a solution of how to access the private members outside the class with the help of public methods, okay, which is nothing but encapsulation object-oriented concept in Java. So with practical demonstration and theoretical explanation, I've answered this question for you. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye.